Hey, this is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and I wanted to do something a little bit different this week. Hence, I'm starting in this position. We're taking a look at the 2022 Nissan Frontier, but rather than walk you through the specs or give you my first drive impressions or do a walk around of the vehicle, which, by the way, I've already done, I'm going to focus on something a little different. I want to tell you why I think this pickup truck is a good city vehicle, and the one reason why maybe it wouldn't be. So let's take a closer look right now. So the first reason I think this is going to be a great urban vehicle is because it can fit in small spaces. You probably already got that from the fact that I started this video from my garage, but I'm going to show you how I got there, and there's another key thing that helps this vehicle be a really good urban vehicle, and it starts with this area right here. So moving forward through my alley, I have a really good view of where all the trash cans are and where things might hinder me along my route. And as I pull forward, it stays on as long as I don't go over a certain mile per hour. And then when I go to ankle the Frontier to get it in, I make sure I don't hit my neighbor's garage. And when I pop it into reverse, it gives me a really good rear view camera. However, what I really like is that it's keeping a little bit of a focus on that front corner so that I'm not going to clip any trash cans as I'm circling into my space. Straighten it out a little bit. And then as I'm backing in, I really appreciate the red, yellow, green lines. This is telling me I really need to pay attention to what's going on. I know I can go back a little bit further, but in case I didn't stop in enough time, that actually was a little bit of emergency braking, so it will also stop me from hitting my back wall, which I'm definitely going to appreciate, and my landlord is also going to appreciate. So fits in tight spaces with a little extra help, but I love the around view camera. I love how this backup camera is situated, and I love the automatic reverse braking. The beeping does get a little bit annoying, but when you're going into a tight space, that sonar-like, pickup of the beep is actually quite helpful. Now, along with fitting in my garage, another great thing about the Frontier is that it will be fairly easy to parallel park. Because it's the size of an full-size SUV, you don't have to do a lot of crazy maneuvers to get it into a spot. And again, that camera is super helpful. You can double check and make sure you are centered in the spot. And voila. One of the biggest reasons that I really like this as a city vehicle is something that perhaps somebody who's taller might not think about, but it's this right here. What Nissan has done is they have designed in a little bit of a kick down so that they can lower the height of the mirror, which in turn allows you to have better visibility over the top of the mirror. And again, for somebody who's shorter, I need all the help that I can get. And living in the city, as you can tell, you're going to hit a lot of stop signs, which means you're also going to hit a lot of crosswalks. And you want to be able to see if anybody is in those crosswalks. So I find the fact that this kick down allows you to lower the mirror, that makes it a lot easier for me to be able to make sure that, frankly, I'm not going to hit anyone. So that also makes this a really great urban vehicle. While I have you at this angle, I'm going to tell you yet another reason why this is a great urban vehicle. Can you hear that? No, you can't, because the interior of this cabin is pretty quiet. They've managed to button down this vehicle in a way that you do hear a little bit of your engine noise creeping in, but you don't hear a lot of the other ambient noise that surrounds the vehicle. And in a city where there's construction, there's people driving around with open windows and loud music playing, there's a lot of sirens and cop cars and ambulances going all around, and so it gives you just a small measure of peace inside the hustle and bustle of a city. And whether you want to sit in silence, you listen to a podcast, or you want to listen to your music unhindered, this will allow you to choose how much sound you want in the cabin. You can put your windows down if you want to hear all the hustle and bustle, but otherwise, I just wanted to take that moment to reiterate how quiet this is, because I don't know if you heard it or not, but an L just went by behind us. I could feel it more than I could hear it. And finally, let's take a look at the interior of the vehicle. Now, of course, a lot of these things that I'm going to mention make this a great anywhere vehicle, but I also think that it specifically makes this a very good city vehicle. So first, let's start with the infotainment system. And you have a really good map navigation available, and you can either program your destination by tapping the buttons here or by using voice controls. The voice controls specifically are going to be very helpful if you are actually driving and don't want to be distracted. I really like that this is customizable, and you can drop and drag things wherever you want them, so that it's easy for you to make sure that you are able to access things without, again, being distracted. If you are looking for gasoline, the fuel prices, it shows what is nearby. If you had your destination programmed in, it would also show you what was near your destination. So both of those are super helpful. If you're getting ready to embark on a drive, you can look for nearby traffic information. Again, if I had a destination programmed in, it would show me traffic along the route. Now, speaking of traffic, because living in a city, you're going to be dealing with it, this has the real-time traffic subscription, so you're also going to be able to see if there's traffic on the highway or any of the surrounding roads, so that you can find an alternative route or, deal with it. So I find that to be really helpful. You've also got a whole host of safety technology on the Nissan Frontier, and that'll include things like lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and your automatic emergency braking. Now, just as I mentioned earlier that this is going to be helpful over potholes and things like that, this is also going to be really helpful if you are dealing with things like snow. So you can get in and out of your unplowed alley very easily just by switching from 4 high, 4 low, whatever you need to get you out of the slippery, deep snow that hasn't been plowed. While you don't have cooled seats, you do have heated seats, a heated steering wheel, and then you've got the USB ports for USB-A and USB-C. So you do have Apple CarPlay on this, but it is going to be a wired-in system. It is not wireless. However, you do have wireless charging, which is always helpful if you want to keep cords hidden. You can just use your wireless charging pad rather than wiring in to charge. I will point out, if you were annoyed by the parking sensors earlier, the beep, 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 you can turn that off. One thing you won't see here is auto stop start. So this does not have auto stop start functionality, which is really gonna kind of translate into your fuel economy. I believe you should get about 22 miles per gallon in combined driving, but as you can see, I've not gotten that. However, I've been mostly in the city. So I can be pretty happy with 15 miles per gallon for a lot of stop and go driving and idling. Lastly, in talking about the interior, something that is really important when you are in the city is the places to store stuff. So you have a really deep console here that fits. I've got a couple of notebooks in here and my keys and some paperwork and things like that. So that's really deep. That'll fit an iPad, cell phones, probably not a computer, but you know, a good amount of things that will fit in here. And then you close it up and keep it hidden. Now I'm going to move to the back seat to show you another hidden storage space, which is under the right side seat. So these seats lift up and you can store small backpack or some other items back here. And again, keep it out of sight of thieves who might be trying to break into your car. So really good storage spaces throughout the vehicle, plus a nice deep glove box. And now it's time to talk about that one reason why this might not be an excellent urban vehicle. So I pulled into the parking lot at my grocery store, and the first thing you're going to notice is immediately the steering gets a little bit stiffer at slower speeds. So you're going to be really working out those arm muscles as you are trying to maneuver your way through a tight spot. Now, the other reason is the turning radius on this is not that great. So I just passed by a few perfectly good spots because I didn't think I would be able to make it in there because this is swinging really wide. And I was able to pull into a spot here that had a spot empty next to it, but it would take a lot of maneuvering to make that wide turn into the spot in order to not hit anything. So again, you do have your cameras that are going to be helpful as you are trying to swing into a space, but getting into any parking spot that is narrow or doesn't have an empty space next to it is going to be a little bit challenging. And you'll probably find yourself doing a lot of maneuvers as you're trying to get into the spot. So as I'm going through the parking lot, I know that I'm going to have to swing really wide in order to fit between two vehicles. Turn on the camera, and even then, I totally would not be able to make this without the camera. That's very tight. And if either person is parked really skewed, you're going to have a hard time getting into the space. And as it is, you know, I've got to kind of maneuver myself and make sure I'm straightening up. This would be a lot more difficult if somebody were in front of me. As it is, I don't have to back out, I can pull through. But I had an ideal situation here where people parked in their spaces and nobody was parked in front of me, and so I was able to swing wide around and get into this spot. The steering and the turning radius, less than ideal, but when you consider everything else that this vehicle has going for it, overall I think it will do very well in an urban environment. You're just going to have to be a little bit picky about your parking space and hope that the lot isn't full. All right, there you go. That is why I think the Nissan Frontier makes a pretty decent urban vehicle. So in addition to a really good proven powertrain that has excellent pickup for highway merges and passing and really nice off-the-line start, it can be fairly maneuverable in city spaces with the help of some technology like that around view camera. While I'm not a huge fan of the stiffer steering and the really large and somewhat unfortunate turning radius, I think that's something that an owner would get used to over time and they'd figure out how to compensate. So overall, I think that the Nissan Frontier is a great redesign. I think it looks good, it drives well, and it's one of those vehicles that can fit into any kind of situation. Need to haul stuff? This can do it. Need to go into the city for a date night? This can do it. And everything in between. So all around, I liked my time with this vehicle, even though it was a brief, short test. And I have to say that Nissan's done a really great job with the technology and pretty much everything. So I'd like to know what you think in the comments. Do you think this would be a great city vehicle? And what do you think of the redesign? Comment below. All right, that is all I have for this week. So thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road.